Wherever you are.
Wherever you are.
Wherever you are.
Wherever you are.
Welcome to SGKs.
Welcome to SGK.
Welcome to SGKs around the world.
Wherever you are.
And in whatever time zone you're in.
Welcome to SGKs around the world.
Welcome to SGKs around the world.
Welcome to SGKs around the world.
Seja bem-vindo a SGK around the world.
We hope you enjoy the session.
We hope you enjoy the session.
A gente espera que você curta a sessão.
We hope you enjoy the session.
We're here today at SGK Chicago Studio to learn about Agile marketing and how this combines with process, data, and technology to create greater flexibility and organizational efficiency. We'll discuss the history of Agile marketing, the benefits and the challenges, and how to leverage this approach to accelerate growth and create competitive advantage. George, can you give us an overview of the history of Agile and how it's evolved in the world of marketing?
Yes, Hope. Actually, Agile is more recent. It was first launched in around the year 2000, about 20 years ago, and it was really focused within IT and software development. And it was a process and methodology by which you can get customer feedback live and while development is happening. The methodology gave organizations an opportunity to iterate, deploy, and then improve and then repeat that cycle altogether. Some of the thinking at the time when Agile was launched was to have frequent updates in the software and development program in shorter time increments. Another one is involving the customer, collaborating with the customer, and incorporating their feedback live as the development cycles were happening. The third piece, the thinking at the time was a quicker response to changes throughout the development cycle. And the fourth was really around measuring success and using the data to incorporate into the next development cycles. Now, Agile has evolved over the last 20 years, and now marketers are beginning to incorporate Agile culture and Agile methodologies within their organizations, and really as a means to improve performance, measure success, and generate continuous improvement overall.
So George, absolutely right. It did start with IT. Being able to build these smaller story targets allowed them to deliver functional solutions to consumers, to their customer base. And so even one of our partners today is able to deliver functional upgrades to their software product every 6 weeks. That was unheard of in the early 2000s, that you'd be able to deliver that type of product. It's no surprise that in the marketing realm, social media started using Agile methodology in their workflows. I mean, think about the changes we've had in the last, just 3 years, events that are happening that need to be responded to. And so being able to deliver that in the minimal amount of time possible was part of the attraction to that marketing channel. Now we see customers wanting to implement Agile within their entire marketing organization because it really can benefit every channel of delivery. That includes the creative departments buying into that whole structure.
Thanks, Kathy. Maria, what are some of the key considerations when implementing Agile marketing?
Sure. So first, you really need to develop a plan to make sure that you adopt the right marketing Agile approach for your organization, ensure that you have the right workflows and technology in place. Next, you need to build a flexible team across multiple functions of your organization, and this is really about building a team of generalists rather than specialists. Having a team that knows a little bit about all of the areas rather than focused on one particular area. Next, you need to assess the critical skills against external resources to understand any gaps in your organization. You also need to empower your teams through having the right technology and tools in place to support them. Finally, you need to access the process data to make data-informed decisions for continuous improvement.
Yeah, that's great. George, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, thank you, Hope. And Maria, really great points as far as, it's critical to have that plan you referenced to implement Agile within the organization, but equally critical is having a change management plan as well. And when I think of change management, some things that come to mind are having the right sponsorship available and leadership behind the initiative, being visible, being active, and listening to what's happening throughout the implementation. The other piece around change is having a great communication plan to create awareness around the organization and the teams, and to get the teams really excited and rallying behind the change and the implementation of Agile. So the other piece to that for me is, as a stakeholder going through an Agile implementation, it's really important to have an open mind, be willing to try it. If something doesn't go well or if something doesn't go as planned, that's okay, in my opinion. That's your opportunity to pause and reassess what happened and then do it again. I mean, that's one of the key fundamental areas of Agile. Now, implementing Agile is actually the easy part, in my opinion. The difficult part really comes when it's time to sustain and reinforce it. That's where it really matters most. And the most critical piece within an Agile implementation is, as an organization, this can't be your flavor of the month. We've all been through it, right? Those initiatives that are the quote-unquote flavors of the month. And Agile, like anything else, it has to be something that we make a commitment to, and we put in the reps and effort behind it to make it successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting, George. I know that in my role in consulting, I'm hearing brands talk more and more about applying Agile methodology and principles in marketing, and I'm sure you guys are probably hearing the same things. And a lot of the driving factors for this is getting greater speed to market, be it with being faster with new innovations, being the first fast follower, thinking about optimizing on new opportunities like the consumer healthcare boom during the COVID-19 pandemic. George, what do you think some of the key drivers are for brands to implement Agile principles into marketing?
Yeah, that's a great question, Hope. I think one of the biggest factors we've all experienced the last few years has been COVID, and it has accelerated everything. Throughout COVID, we saw e-com and retailers post triple-digit earnings in e-com and digital sales alone. And if you think about it, the needs for content exploded. You needed content for social, for websites, for apps, and different e-tailers' needs all together. We saw the consumer shift from shopping the physical aisle to shopping the digital aisle, and as a result, the need for content was just greater. And so as a marketer and as a marketing organization thinking about implementing Agile, I'm thinking about implementing it because it's going to enable my team to focus more, to produce more content and do it in a more scalable and affordable way, and also use that as an opportunity to learn, iterate, and continue to improve as the cycles go on.
And George, I would agree with that. I mean, e-com in particular saw tremendous growth. People wanted their products delivered to them. And for companies like Amazon, Walmart, and Target, they already had things in place. For other grocery stores in particular, they had to catch up. And so those that had Agile methodology as part of their processes really were the ones that benefited the most than those that still may not have delivery service available for their consumers.
Yeah, and Kathy, tied into something that you said earlier about social media, that's another area where I've seen a driving factor for marketing organizations implementing Agile, because you really can't plan your content 30 days, 2 weeks out in advance anymore. You have to be able to react to what's happening today and create content for the day of or for tomorrow. So I think that's another area where Agile's really been beneficial to marketing organizations.
Yep.
George, what are some of the key benefits of Agile marketing?
Some of the benefits for Agile marketing typically include a few things. The first benefit, and probably the most important one for me, is a focus on the customer. A second one that comes to mind is an increase in productivity and overall throughput. And in this case, productivity and throughput in all content, production and assets that are created. The third one that comes to mind is transparency and awareness of what is being worked on, what the priorities are, what is being focused on. And then the fourth one for me is the data. Understanding the data, using the data to celebrate success, and also use the data to improve and how we're going to do things differently the next time.
Yeah, and George, to add on to that from a consulting lens, I think some of the more important benefits I've seen are breaking down silos within organizations by way of those cross-functional teams, removal of dead time, and increased collaboration through the daily stand-up meetings. And all of this leads to process efficiency, which reduces cost and increases speed to market.
Yeah, I think that's great. Some really great benefits of Agile marketing, but there's also a lot of watch-outs, right? Some of the things that I'm seeing from a watch-out perspective are You talked about flavor of the month, right? Applying superficial change with agile marketing, just applying some of the terminology like rebadging meetings as stand-up meetings, rebadging project managers as scrum masters. Organizations aren't going to realize the benefits of applying agile methodology and agile principles. The other big thing is, it's a cultural shift. Agile is a team sport. So corporate needs to provide the guardrails and the autonomy and flexibility for teams to operate with agile methodologies to achieve the benefits. And then the final thing that I would say is agile doesn't mean lack of structure and no rigor with ways of working. Agile principles need to be tailored to the organization. They need to have defined processes. They need to have planning and budgeting. They need to have roles and responsibilities and technology infrastructure in place to ensure that they don't create more inefficiencies and they actually realize the benefits of working in an agile way.
Yeah, I'd add to that corporate sponsorship. Having a leader within the organization that really says this is what we're going to do and we're going to get behind it. It is a cultural shift, as you said, and really all the things that you described fall into that change management piece, right? So being conscious of the fact that this is a huge shift for an organization, having all the leaders involved, I think, is key.
Mm-hmm. Kathy, there's one more thing I'd add as well as far as watchouts, and it's something I referenced earlier in this conversation around sustaining and reinforcing change. And something's going to fail. It's inevitable. It's not going to be perfect. And so as a team, we need to be ready for that moment. And how do we understand what happened and apply the learnings going forward so we can continue to iterate and evolve as we move forward in the agile journey?
Mm-hmm. Yep, agreed.
Kathy, we know the importance of technology and of meaningful, actionable data. How can this amplify the benefits that we can see with applying agile principles in marketing?
Oh, my favorite topic. So one of the key things that any organization who's looking at implementing agile should do is review the technology tools that are available. The first thing they should look for is the ability to integrate that with their marketing systems. Why is that important? Because now I can take the data that I collect from using agile methodology in our everyday operations, combine that with our marketing analytics to really understand ROI, understand how long it takes to do a particular tactic. Wouldn't it be great to be able to add a large campaign to your campaign calendar and know that you can comfortably achieve it? Or maybe that you need just one additional resource that you can freelance out to in order to achieve that particular campaign. Taking it to a smaller level, being able to run a mini social media campaign could be disruptive to an entire creative department. If you're using Agile, you know whether or not it is going to be disruptive to that department. So to me, the operational insights that you can gain by combining technologies within your marketing platform will give you that advanced measurement of data that would be able to inform you for decisions moving forward.
Yeah, and Kathy, I think it's also really important to capture process data because it really gives you insight into the health of your marketing or operations. So looking at KPIs like cycle time, fit for use inputs, approval time, and revision cycles will really help identify opportunities for continuous improvement.
Yeah, and I think if you take those marketing analytics that I talked about before with the operational analytics, you're now able to do real-time assessment of what's working in the market and what's not. So you have maybe a small campaign running or a promotion running, customers are not responding to it. Now because you have Agile, you know whether or not you can replace that piece of content. You can replace that piece of content, or if there's another piece that's performing exceptionally well in one market, expand that to other markets in real time. So I really think that's the true benefit of Agile in marketing.
Great, thank you all for a great discussion today.
Thank you.
Thank you.